if you think you've reached your total spiritual awareness, think of the afternoon where your child is throwing a tantrum over a cheese toast, which is not square, but triangle, and you having to cope up with it.
Welcome to Rise Within. And this is what we're talking about in our relationship series about relationship with our children and parenting. So when we go through our relationship states and our growth state, like right from our relationship with parents, siblings, our partners, the next stage comes is children. And though a lot of people believe that children come from us, but the real truth is that children come through us. We are just a channel. Yeah. And they have their own journey. They have their own soul journey, their own learnings. So it's a very important awareness. And especially like when people talk about, children are from us or they are my children, there's a lot of ownership that comes. There's a lot of control that comes and a lot of ego, if you have to see, you know, yeah, because it's my children. How much about our relationship with our children, what we expect from our children, or the way we want our children to be, is coming from what we want it to be. Like most of the people, like, I always wanted to be a doctor. I couldn't be, so I want my child to be. You know, that's one thing. So, how much of us are we reflecting in our children? Because they are a major part of our mirror and a very important part of our healing journey and in our soul journey. As they mirror our innermost wounds and our innermost needs or our inner child as such, because they bring up our childhood. That's how it is. The two ways it's like, most of the time, how parents look at children and the relationship turns out to be is like, my parents told me this. Okay, this is how it should be, and this is how I was brought up. So I bring up my children in that manner in order to be perfect, in order, like, because what they think, because my parents have brought me up like this. So, like, it's again somewhere ego, but somewhere it's familiarity because that's all they know, that I'm a good child. So this is what I would want my child to be. Or it could be the other way around. Is like my parents were very abusive, they were very restrictive, controlling. I felt very restricted, limited. I did not feel safe. So I'm not going to do that to my children. So the
So there
relationship
are
with
two
your children,
extreme scenarios,
yeah,
right?
the two
There,
extreme
how
scenarios.
we
So,
take
and
it.
it could be a mixture of
Yeah.
both. In certain cases,
Yeah.
like, in certain aspects, it could be this following your parents. And in the other aspects, it could be the other way around. Like, I never got freedom in my life. Like, I was always controlled by my mother or my father. I'm going to give full freedom to my children. And, or I never got all whatever I asked for in my childhood. So I will give whatever my child asks for. So, I mean, are we looking at this relationship with our children more from the relationship that we had, our childhood that we had, right?
Right.
So, and when we're doing all of these things, most of the time it is very unconscious. But the moment you realize that, how you are being aware of how you are dealing with your children, you realize that you're actually dealing with your inner child.
And a lot of pent up emotions, right?
Yeah.
So we come from a generation where there was no explanation, right? The end lines for every conversation is because I said so. So there was no contesting that judgment that came through,
Yeah.
right? And our generation, we are not mentally prepared to answer those judgment. So let's start by again going back to what you said, that control. We have to prepare ourselves consciously to convert this whole control aspect to a connection. Because to be honest, we cannot control anything. We think we can, but we can't control anything. Whatever we like, it's vice versa. We are also putting a seed of conditioning into our children. So now, what we condition them as, they will take it forward as the next chain of events.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful that whatever conditioning has happened from our parents, to some extent, it has to end with us. And we consciously, if we take the step and have a balance between both control and connection, we'll consciously be able to, bridge that gap that was created. There will be a generational gap,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And especially in today's world with this fast-paced technology, the challenges are far more than what our parents would have faced.
Yeah.
Consciously being a mother of a 20-year-old, how I see it is that their exposure to information and opinions are
Yeah.
far more than we had, because we didn't have social media back then. We didn't have AI back then where we could just have access to every given information that we wanted. Our parents were our first point of contact when we
Yeah.
wanted to know something. But that is fast changing. That
Yeah.
is also creating a bigger gap
Yeah.
between understanding our children, where we need to sit and explain why, when, how. That
Yeah.
conversation needs to, because control will not solve that problem. It will
True.
push them away further from
Yeah.
where they actually are.
Yeah. And that's what you're saying. It's like creating a connection through communication and,
Right.
with the children. Basically, that's the core of it. And I totally agree with you. But at the same time, also, what is very important to understand, whatever in terms of you do your best as a parent and in terms of conscious parenting also, what is important to note is not to take on that to make it perfect or hang on to the outcome that, if I do this, you know, this will be the outcome. It may not be. There may be
Yeah.
times where you would be communicating, all of this would be there. You'd be doing whatever, right? But still, the outcome from your children may be different. All right. How the children react to what you do or how they take it is not your responsibility as a parent. As a
Absolutely.
parent, your
Yes.
responsibility is you do your best, be as aware as be present with them.
Yeah.
And when you are present with them, you are not reacting, you are watching them, observing them, and then responding accordingly. And sometimes a response may be not to respond at all. Yeah. And with that observation, because especially, when your children, all of these, how they react, what they say, what they're doing is actually reflecting your own inner need of healing. All right. And this is the more
Right.
deep kind of it's like in the whole cycle of our lives as our life journey, universe gives you opportunities to keep healing and we are healing
Right.
all right with from your parents to your siblings to your partners. And when it comes to children, they're again the next level of mirrors where they are mirroring our inner child. That's what I
Right.
said, like, in terms of our childhood, our wounds. So if a child is rebellion or is really rebelling, he doesn't listen or she doesn't listen, and like it's this. So how much is it teaching you to let go of control? If the
Yeah.
child is very sensitive, keeps crying, what is it teaching you? Is it teaching you your, emotional safety or probably teaching you to be more sensitive? What, for each person, it may be different. So anytime
Absolutely.
when you're dealing and you're interacting and you have challenges, especially challenge, and actually you can learn in the positive way also, and I'll give you the examples of that too. So as individuals, even as parents, we are not there to fix children. We are not there to make their life perfect, or we are not here to, and those times are gone where at some point in ancestral levels where, it was a parent's responsibility to protect children. Okay. Today,
Yeah.
we don't live in those environments where there is so much of threat in terms of physical threat. So it's like, or
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. And we understand that, we're not here to protect the children from any outcome or any bad thing happening or all of that. We are here to support them.
Absolutely.
Our role as parents is not to protect children. Our role as parents is to support them. So if they fall, let them fall. You're there to support them, give them a hand and lift them up. Be with them in their journey, but let them, because it's their journey. It's their soul. And
Yeah.
whatever you do, how much ever you try to control or you protect, they will still go through the journey they have to. And we controlling them, we trying to overprotect them, whatever is only creating limitations in their own growth. They are unable to grow because of that. So being
Yeah.
aware of that, that are you being protecting? Are you being supportive? What are you doing in that? And say if you are being controlling or if you are being protective, how much of that is your own fears? It cannot be true.
Yeah.
So we
And
look into
one
ourselves.
one very important part, when it comes to controlling, I think this is a fantastic season that we are doing this podcast in, Tanveer. This is the exam season for most of the parents in India, right?
Yeah.
And most of my friends, and I keep getting these calls, or whenever in the conversation, it keeps coming up that they are more frantic about their exams than the kids themselves. So what they're doing is that fear that probably they would have had for their exams, they are literally passing it on to the children, but the children are not really at that panic stage where the kids don't need to, they are perceptive enough, they know what they want. They are probably not studying, and the parents are getting anxious. Yeah, these guys are not studying, they're not bothered, and stuff like that. And to be honest, for me, I feel that if they want to, they will.
Yeah.
If they don't want to, no matter what you do, they will not. And taking control of the narrative, we cannot control that part.
Yeah.
We cannot control their narrative. Like being possessive about the kids, that, oh my God, how are they going to cope up to life if they behave like this? I don't know how they're going to cope up in the future. Well, they'll figure it out. We figured it out, right? They will be, if there is something which is they are, they have signed up for in this lifetime, but you might try to delay that, that they face that problem. But eventually they will face that problem, right? Or they will go through that circumstances. Then what?
Yeah.
It's you as a parent, you are here. You can be there as a, standing by and making sure that in case something happens, you're the first
You are there.
person who they can access, and that, there is a problem and
Yeah.
can you help me out?
Yeah.
Rather than being the person, I told you so, why did you do this? I
Yeah.
had warned you about it. Well, all of us have gone through it, isn't it? And
Yeah.
if they don't face it now, eventually they will face it. And
Yeah.
making them scared about failures. We make such a big deal about making them so precautious about facing failures.
Yeah.
We have to normalize that. I think most of our kids don't end up trying things that they've always wanted to because of the fear that they cannot justify to their parents.
Yeah.
That why they want to do this.
Yeah.
That typical, that Hindi movie scenario where, my son is a doctor and my son is an engineer, and, they don't even have that courage to probably come up and tell their parents that I don't want to do this. Or that comparison, that constant comparison, this one's son or this one's daughter is doing this, or
Yeah.
this one is achieved, got so these marks, and what have you done? Why that comparison within? Yeah.
Yeah. So true, and when in spite of us doing all of this, as parents who have been doing this, the parents will face the opposite, because that's what they have to heal. All right.
Right.
So if the
Right.
children are behaving and are becoming challenges or whatever, it's as parents, we not need to say how I can fix my child or what can I do for him to or her to, do better or, the way you would want to do, rather than saying that, okay, what is it that I am learning from it? What is it that I need to change within myself? Okay, so that this doesn't trigger me. It's all, as children are also a mirror to your own inner self. So if they're doing something and they, how they say is like, it's not that as a child gives birth to the parent, all right? So it's not that the parent gives birth to the child, but it is the child that gives birth to the parent, right? So as a parent, it's about you learning. It's a different stage of learning, and you learn so much from life through your children. Yeah. Even if it's like having fun, if you just observe your children and you see that they're having this fun, they're teaching you joy. Even if they're being, how they're jumping around and meaningless without any reason, they're laughing and sometimes it may trigger you. So you need to ask that question. How, and I remember like if we laugh too much, we're being shut down. Don't laugh too much. It was like that kind of a thing from our parents.
Yeah.
So that's judgment. But if we have to see in terms of why is it triggering me? Like, where am I decided or believe that I cannot have joy or I cannot have too much of fun or that kind of a thing, which is considered wrong and there's
Yeah.
so much of judgment. Maybe that what needs to be released in me when I see children having fun. So, and we can learn how to be that innocent, that fun, that easygoing. When you look at children, they make things and then they break it and they go ahead and they make something else. Like, as you said, like failures. It's not
Yeah.
failure. Things go bad. It's okay. You make something new. When we
Yeah.
actually approach our children more with what are they teaching us? What am I learning? From the good aspects as well as the negative aspects, the triggers, right? You grow much, much more. It's your healing journey and it's their healing journey. It's
Yeah.
their soul journey. And then you allow them to go through their journey too, without stopping them, without restricting them, without blocking their journey. So be with them in this
Absolutely.
journey, being aware of your stuff as well as, and how most of the times we are actually trying to correct our childhood through our children, which we need to stop. You can correct
Yeah.
your childhood through your children, but not by controlling or changing anything in them, but by asking the questions within and healing yourself rather than changing the children. And trust me, because it's a DNA, you are connected biologically, energetically with your children. Any healing that you do on yourself, any awarenesses that comes to you, and any shift and change that you make within yourself, you will
It
see it
affects
in
them.
your children.
Absolutely. And it even temperamentally,
Yeah.
right? For example, you take up this whole conscious journey of being calm, detached, and stuff like that, right? Even if things that are triggering you through their behavior, if you are conscious, over a period of time, you'll realize that they don't keep repeating that behavior. Why? Because we have stopped reacting to those things. And for them, they're like, oh my God, she's not even reacting to this. Like, what happened? So when you shift, it is again frequency. So
Yeah.
when you're shifting, you're automatically changing their frequency as well, right?
Yes.
Where they probably get more aware, they get more conscious, and they in turn become a little more mindful to their activities that they do,
Yeah.
right? If you are shifting towards a more mindful journey, you're actually taking a lot of people along with you, and your children are the first beneficiaries of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to be honest, it's our inner chaos which is projecting onto the kid.
True.
And instead of giving them sanctity, we are giving them chaos.
Yeah. So
Right?
that's again very important in terms of relationship with children. When you look at them as mirrors to your own soul, to your own journey, to your own healing, you look at them differently. And there is nothing like perfect parent or a perfect child, right? It's
Absolutely.
important to accept children the way they are. Accept that, okay, they are going to throw tantrums. Yes, it's their age when they grow to teenage, it's their age of having those affairs and flings and, going out.
Yeah.
What you can do, we may have a judgments about what is right and what is wrong, but it's very important. Conscious parenting is more about keeping our judgments away, connecting with the children without any judgment, and most important, being a support to them in their journey.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this, to some extent, we need high amount of ego depth, right?
Yes.
Where,
Yes.
where it's not about our ego anymore, where we
Yes.
consciously tell ourselves that it's not about us always.
Yeah.
It's more to do with them, because
Yeah.
it's the other way around. Like we chose our parents, they chose us for those life lessons, right?
Yeah.
So we should actually be identifying, right? That what are they trying to tell us, teach us, get from us? Probably they are looking at us to, to set up their next steps, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, if we are not giving them the right answers, because we're not listening mindfully, we're not even
Yeah.
listening to it is not only the conversation, it's the entire body language that you can make out with their body language that either they are stressed out, or, there are some other unspoken words that they're trying to relate, and we're not getting it. So
Yeah.
it is all about understanding that, it's a complete package.
Yeah.
Like it all starts with listening to them, even when they can't speak, even
Yeah.
their body language as infants,
Yeah.
they can make out, you can make out that, they're
Yeah.
trying to express themselves.
Yeah.
And that it is surprising that, that as they grow up, it doesn't change. If so, a mother would be able to identify, certain characteristics that they have, even when they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And it is extremely important to keep mindfully making them aware that,
Yeah.
you're
That
doing
also
this
happens
again.
when you're present with child, right? It's very important when you're
Absolutely.
present with the child. I mean, you can be with the child all the time, but you're not present with the child at all. Like, it can be child can be physically present, and especially with today's social media and all of this, even parents are so busy with their mobiles and Netflix and everything. So it's important to connect and be present and support them and allow them in their journey. At the same time, important to look within. If there obviously there will be triggers, there will be challenges. What are they teaching you? What is it that within you that needs to shift so that you can grow and they can grow?
Great. It was a wonderful chat, Tanvir, as usual. And I think this is a milestone of our 4-part series on relationships. And I think this was one of the key elements where the story actually flips, where we need to again understand what we need to heal, right?
Yeah.
Thanks again for a lovely chat, Tanvir.
Thank you, Abby. That was
And
wonderful.
we'll see each other again.
Yeah. Maybe we can do a bonus episode on the relationship, which may come as a relationship itself, and how this whole journey
Oh,
or
that
our
would be
life journey
amazing.
culminates.
Absolutely.
We'll do that surely.
Absolutely. That
And
would
please
be
subscribe to our
brilliant.
channel and follow us on Insta, Facebook, and on our other channels. And see you next week. Thank you so much.
See you again. Bye.
Bye.